Parshat Devarim, Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, Devarim, the fifth book of the Torah, where Moshe Rabbeinu has some very harsh words, Devarim words, constructive rebuke, where Moshe Rabbeinu, just before his passing, admonishes the Jewish people for a number of events that has happened since coming out of Egypt, the 40 years that they were wandering in the desert and before entering the land of Israel. Also, as I said, the Shabbat is always the Shabbat before Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av, where we lament and commemorate the destruction of the first and the second temple. There's obviously a connection. This year particularly, Shabbat and Tisha B'Av are connected, which shows us the particularity of the day of Tisha B'Av, where it is introduced by the Shabbat. So let's have a little conversation about all this. But before that, we obviously have to thank Hashem for all the miracles and beg Him and ask Him, Rabbi Shalom, Chazoin, we want to see already. I'll get back to it in a moment, but first, Mizmor l'soido, Rila Adonai kol ha'aratzim des Adonai b'simcha boi lefanu v'nono, Du'u ki Adonai Elohim hu asanu v'lo anach nama b'tzam marise boi yishor b'soido chatzroise b'sila, Hoidu lebachu shemo ki toi v'Adonai le'olam chazdo v'yadoi v'dor emunasoi. And obviously, action is more than words, so some tzedakah, and let us get a little bit focused. As I just said, Devarim, the fifth book that we just started this week, fifth book and the final book of the Torah, which is where Moshe Rabbeinu reminds the Jewish people of a number of events that have happened throughout the 40 years in the desert that needs correction. And the reason why he's mentioning is this, not just to remind you guys were no good. No, it's to give words of encouragement. You're entering the land of Israel. Remember, leave this behavior in the past. Those errors that you have made in the past should not be repeated. And you're capable of doing that. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu is impressing upon the Jewish people. You can do much better, and you will do much better. Which brings us also to the Haftarah of this week. The Haftarah of this week is called Chazon. Shabbos is called Shabbos Chazon, where it's recorded how Isaiah the prophet, through the reign of 4 different kings, Uzziah, Yosam, Achaz, Yechezkiyahu, kept on reminding the Jewish people. It says, I have witnesses, heaven and earth, says God, are witnesses to my promises that I made to you, which I kept. But unfortunately, you rebelled. You acted like Sodom and Amorah. But it concludes, it says, don't despair. There is hope. I will return everything as it was in the beginning. Zion b'mishpat tipodeh. Zion will be redeemed by justice. V'shoveha b'tzedakah. And their penitence will be redeemed through the practice of righteousness, of charity. So God says, there is hope. And in fact, Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchever, as we call the Holy Barditchever, the one who only saw good on anyone and everyone, says Shabbos Chazon, this Shabbat, Chazon, which means a vision, is a moment where we can all have a vision of the Beis HaMikdash. If we really sincerely care and want, not just to lament and kretz about the past, but to really hope and express our hope and our commitment and our firm belief it is happening, we can have a glimpse, we can have a vision of the Beis HaMikdash. But what does it need? Tzedakah, righteousness. I want to share with you a quick little story. And this is in honor of my mother's yortzeit, this Shabbos, Erev Tisha B'Av, which I only heard yesterday. My mother, just before her passing, as she had terminal illness. Apparently 1 or 2 days before her passing, she couldn't talk anymore. She was so weak. A friendly neighbor sent in a cake to my parents. My mother told my sister that was there, please give me a little piece of cake to taste. So this way you can tell her that I tasted it and it's delicious. What a person is thinking when frail and weak, a word of kindness to a neighbor. But she wasn't going to tell her, just tell her that it's good. She was a woman of honesty, of total integrity. Tzion b'mishpat tipodeh v'shover b'tzedakah. Righteousness and kindness. By us being kind and sensitive to others, not only we will be able to have that spiritual vision of the Beis HaMikdash, but indeed we will all celebrate this Shabbos and before Shabbos with Mashiach in the Beis HaMikdash. And Tisha B'Av will be feasting, not fasting.